All right, thank you for waiting. Welcome to ACM. We're going to start with an opening prayer before we get started, which is going to be offered by, I forget your name, Reed. Okay, Reed's going to give the opening prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, for the opportunity we have to come to ACM and to learn more about computers and how they work. This wants us to be able to have that spirit to be with us, that we will be able to understand what is being taught and presented. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
This doesn't show up there. So
we are doing dual display mode. Yeah, that's probably the problem. My connection is lost. That's
okay.
fine.
So maybe I should just go to just a screen.
So first, we want to go over who's in the Mindstorm competition. You are. You are. Is Apartment to Builders here? Yes. You're Apartment to Builders. You're what team? Pointy Bricks or Robo Nerds? Okay. So yeah, that's right. I had a slide for that. We've got the EV3 bricks. I haven't brought them in, but if you want them, you got to come to me and ask. Next thing, we do not have. We've only got the bricks. We don't have motors and parts. So we want you, in order to help keep costs down, to use a Legos CAD program or a CAD program that uses Legos to figure out exactly what kind of parts your robot is going to need, and then create a list of the items, and then we will buy them, or we'll try to get them. Brother Grimmett is the person that we have to work with for this. So that is the current status of all that. If you want to be able to compete and stuff like that, we just want to get this moving, and then we can do it a lot easier next year because we'll have parts. We'll be able to do more stuff, and it will be easier to secure resources. But right now, since it's the first time we're doing that, if we ever do this again, there's just some hurdles to get over. Next, we've got really cool presentations today. Brother Grimmett, as you guys know, he's going to be doing a presentation on microprocessor programming. He's got a whole collection of them. If you've ever been in his office, you'll realize that he is the biggest nerd. It's like all the stuff that he has in there is just crazy. So he's going to be showing off some of those things and discussing that with us. And we've also got here Robert Hiromoto from the University of Idaho, and he's going to be giving a presentation on a course that's been in development. It's a master's level course that will be offered here at the university, I believe. Is that right?
Yep.
And it's going to be on the development of wireless communication protocols for unmanned aerial vehicles. And so if you guys are very interested, there's going to be some very high-level stuff that's going to be developed there. He's going to give a presentation on what that's going to entail. So if you want, you can ask him lots of questions. He'll have a lot of cool things to talk to you about. That's the summary of today's stuff. So I'll turn the time over. Which one of you wants to start? Robert? Okay.
Okay. How much time do I have?
How much time?
20 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So I have. So how we're gonna display this?
Yeah. Yeah. So set this so that way we've got it. So that way. Is there a way to set it so that? Okay. Slideshow primary monitor. Okay. No, there is no slideshow monitor.
Oh, well, this will bring up the slideshow.
It's backwards.
Oh, it's backwards. Yeah.
That's okay. We'll live with it.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's backwards on the stream. There we go. There's your mouse. Oops. There you go.
Okay, so what I am planning to do is to offer a course here, and it's titled Wireless Communications Protocol for UAVs. And what I really want to do at the beginning, I just want to give you a motivation for this course. So there are a lot of projects going on. This is the one I found last night. This is a DARPA challenge, and this is a fast, lightweight autonomy, which is the goals are to explore non-traditional perception and autonomy methods for minimalistic, high-speed navigation in cluttered environments. I'll show you a little video on this. It's also to develop and demonstrate the capability for small autonomous UAVs to fly at speeds of up to 20 meters per second. The important part here is that with no communication to the operator and without GPS waypoints. So this is kind of a huge challenge. I forget when it was, maybe about 10 years ago, there was another challenge. It had to do with driving cars autonomously from California to Nevada with no operator control. And this is sort of an extension of that. Okay, so I'd like to show you probably about 2-minute little picture here. So
let me just plug in your sound. You're gonna have video, is that right?
Okay, so I can just. So here it is. Do you see it up there? How do we?
You gotta move this window over there.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, this is a DARPA video. This is a group from MIT and University of Pennsylvania, and I think that's right. Pennsylvania, I think the Pennsylvania, and at that location there is a researcher named Vijay Kumar, who has done a lot of work in micro copters.
So start?
Yep, so go ahead. Of course, what they have is they have sensors on board to detect any obstacles in the way. They always don't work. So let's terminate this and get back to my, yeah. Okay, very good. So so that's kind of an inspirational sort of demonstration of what people can do in autonomous flight of a single UAV. But it seems to me that there's another interesting problem, and people have worked on this. This is called swarming. But my interest is to ask the question, can we have autonomous flight formations? So we have a formation here. Can we have a formation that is autonomous? Now you saw what we had in the DARPA film. You had the single UAV, and you notice all the problems it had bumping into walls and issues that come up because we're essentially just using sensors to guide the aircraft. So another question is, if I had two, and how can I then make guaranteed communicating between the two so that there can be a formation that is maintained? And let's increase it to 3 or 4. So that's the idea. So what I'm interested in is trying to develop protocols that will accomplish that. And essentially this course that I would like to offer for you here is going to be based on an end result of hoping that we can get some sort of a formation flight. It would be it would be really an interesting thing actually to see them all rise up and then start to move and follow certain planned motion. Okay, so why is this important, right? So I'm going to skip some slides because I don't have too much time, but I just want to indicate to you that what I have here is just a mock-up of a nuclear reactor housing, and what happens if, for example, there is damage that occurs inside. Right, so when that happens, then you have no means of communicating with the outside, nor do you have any means of being able to create a formation of UAVs that can autonomously map out the interior. Okay, so here what I have is I have these access points sitting there, so it makes the problem easier. But if we remove the access point, then essentially we have this configuration. Okay, so you can see that there is a lot of important applications for the question of autonomous flight formation. Okay. Also in search and rescue, you can see how this can be of a major advantage. All right, here is an example of the interior and the exterior. And notice on the exterior, we actually have a line of these UAVs. Right? So actually now what can happen is that each one of these that are closest to this outdoor antenna could pick up some data and then move it down the chain here. Okay? Now, when I speak of wireless, well, that's a big problem because wireless is not the same as a wired communication. So here are some basic issues that I think need to be explored, right? So we would need some sort of minimal centralized control structure. We would have to have some sort of reliable node-to-node communication, and I mentioned here within the radio frequency range. And I'll just show you some diagrams so that you can have a picture of that. That long chain of quadcopters, well, that represents actually a multi-hop communication link, and that's formed via the intermediate relay nodes. Clearly, we need collision avoidance, and you saw that in the movie, film, right? We need to guarantee that our packets can be transmitted without interference. So there has to be some sort of a clock synchronization mechanism or a message synchronization mechanism. Okay? Because these two are different approaches that they accomplish essentially the same thing. I don't know if you're familiar with Bluetooth, but Bluetooth also does synchronization, time synchronization, as well as message transfer synchronization. So they do both. And much of the ideas here probably will be extensions of a Bluetooth protocol. Here, we have navigation without external referencing, so we don't want GPS. We have it, that's fine, but if we lose GPS, then planes will fall out of the sky. Okay? And as you probably know, there is a big concern about navigation, both marine navigation and air navigation, because they're worried about the situation if GPS satellites fall out of the sky. And this is really a big problem. It's being discussed the last 10 years or 15 years. And then, of course, we need a development platform. That's to, of course, develop the algorithms. Okay, so here is an example of a minimal control structure, right? So we have here is we have a controller that essentially is directing the direction and the formation of the flight. So that's the idea. We have at least one of these UAVs that is centralized, and it sends out the messages to all of the other UAVs that then track on to that UAV, right? So that's kind of the idea. I suppose if DARPA were involved, I would say let them all go, right? But I want to have some sort of control. Right? And it's also easier then to actually build this this system, because you can take a regular UAV, control that, and then you can introduce a second one. Now you have communication between them. You can introduce a third one, right? So you can build it up. If you just try to let them all fly at the same time, you have sort of a mess. Okay. So this is typically, this is just an idealized picture of radio communication, right? So if you have an antenna here that sends out circular radio signals, then within this distance here, we call that transmission, because you'll be able to receive it without errors. When you get further away, you can detect it, but it could be noise. Right? And then further out, then you have interference that takes place, and so you're just listening to noise. And of course, this is the major difference between a wired and a wireless communication network. Okay, so I think that gives you a quick idea of what the issues are, at least in the wireless. Here, these are some of the problems that you have because of wireless. You can have blocking, where it just runs into something. Here you have some sort of irregularity, so the power is actually fluctuates. Okay? Maybe shadowing, you can think of that as when late at night you can pick up a station from Denver or California, and it's bouncing off the ionosphere, and you can hear it going in and out. And here is just reflection here, so it's hinging on something reflecting back. And all these are problems and issues that we have to deal with, and hopefully find a technique to address them. Right, so here is this multi-hop, so you see that this node is within the radio range of the sender, but it's outside of the radio range of the receiver or the destination. So the idea is to send a packet to this node here, intermediate node, and that intermediate node then forwards it on to the destination. So we have a complete connection. Okay. You might imagine that if we have a formation of UAVs, they may move away outside the radio range of one, and so we'd have to have some mechanism to still be able to communicate with the one that's moved out of range. Okay, so this is the idea. This is just to indicate a technique for doing time synchronization, and it is embedded in being able to take to program around. There's a MAC layer within these systems, and also an interrupt-driven system. And so it's just a matter of how you can actually encode the timestamp within the sending of packets. And then really, I think this is kind of crucial here, is developing a platform for all of this. So we've just recently learned that in March, MATLAB is going to come out with a with a mobile ad hoc simulation tool. So we're hoping that that will be the case, because then we plan to actually develop code using that. Okay. Now, this is a simulation, so it's not enough just to develop something here. It really has to be tested over here. So the idea is then to take the codes we develop and actually implement them into wireless chips, actually demonstrate their feasibility. Okay, so let me just quickly move on here. I'll just finish this up. So this is what I'm proposing to do. This will be a course for this coming fall. The objectives will be to design and develop an understanding and knowledge of wireless communication protocols to support the autonomous formation flight of UAVs. And believe me, this is an open-ended area, so there are going to be lots of interesting projects and lots of problems we might end up facing. You might be able to demonstrate that something we have been working on doesn't work, right? But that in itself is important. Some of the things we'll be looking at is trying to come up with something like a self-organizing Bluetooth protocol. So time synchronization actually happens in Bluetooth, but in a multi-hop network, that's not a solved problem. We'd have to have adaptive selection of send-receive frequency channels. That's in some sense embedded in Bluetooth. We have to look at this is dynamic source routing protocols, and that is to create a link between a source and destination where the radio range does not encompass the destination. Self-organizing communication protocols, power management, data transport, and certainly last here is localization tracking without GPS. Whoops, and then finally, a couple of other things. We'll use MATLAB plus Simulink, and then the idea is then to take the developed codes and then embed them into wireless chips or wireless cards as a test. So there's going to be certainly hands-on, right? We'll have to talk and understand the concepts involved, but then try and come up with maybe protocols and then design them, actually generate the code, and then embed them in the chips and actually test to some degree their capabilities. Okay? Okay, so that's all I have, but if you have questions.
So students that are online can also ask questions if you're watching live.
Is it just for this fall? This course is only this fall one time?
Well, we're looking at it for this fall, right?
The answer is yes. Right now, it's
yeah.
What kind of prerequisites would they do?
Okay, so the prerequisites, if we need any background material, I provide it, okay? Because there is a lot of material, and I really can't expect you to know all the details. Okay?
But for this crew, you would have probably had to have gone through computer architecture. What class is that?
324.
324. So I wouldn't try to tackle this class unless you'd gone through 324, which is computer architecture. It would be great if you had the computer networking class. Which was that?
That's 460.
Yeah. 460 would be wonderful, but I think you can get through that.
I'm actually taking 460 right now. So most of the stuff that you've been talking about, we've talked about at the data link layer.
Okay.
Package, that's what we're actually on right now.
Okay, good.
But I've actually been interested in the concepts of doing like some type of protocol, like low-level protocol data transfer.
Uh-huh.
The only thing I'm doing it now is IoT though, so like Internet of Things.
You have what? Sorry.
Internet of Things, so like an Internet of Things.
Okay.
Like embedded system to do
Yeah.
it with.
That's the same thing Bob's talking about. Sort of.
Yeah.
But I've always been interested in the just that field of embedded systems and wireless communication.
Okay, well, that's great. I mean, you know, one of the issues that we really have to tackle is the issue of clock synchronization. We may end up not doing time synchronization. The other thing, which is well known, is that it's called clear to send, clear to receive, and then clear to transmit. Right. So well, what that does is you can still use it. You can still use time slots, and time slots will be dedicated, and each time slot would represent a time slot for a unique UAV. And within that time slot, then you go around. You see, this is going to be slow, right? There's going to be slots that you go around, and only one UAV will be allowed to communicate, let's say, to the master UAV. So there's an issue there. It has to do with how quickly you can transmit data. But when you look at, you can get on the YouTube and look at projects where they're doing swarming. But for swarming, they typically use a GPS, and then they use collision avoidance, and it's very difficult in that situation to be able to send without dropping packets, a packet from one side of the swarm to the other side. It's a very difficult problem. So the reason I'm using quadcopters is because the controls are not as stringent, right? I don't have to keep these fixed wing moving around, right? I can just move them up, have them in some stationary formation, and then slowly move them in some direction. Okay, now you say, well, you know, can't we make them faster? Well, we have to do the first things first, right?
Well, you don't want a bunch of quadcopters in a group smacking to the wall.
Right. Exactly.
That's the worst thing.
Okay, yeah.
The quadcopters themselves that we are working with, you already have them for the most part programmed, or will you need the people to be able to?
Well, the quadcopters is a joint
We're building
effort here.
Yeah, we've got a group of people here are building those.
Yeah.
What majors are you targeting for this? Just computer science, or are you targeting also other majors?
I have no. Right now, I
Computer
have.
science, double E, and CE.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of share with you what our thought is here. So this is a class that you would take that's being offered by the University of Idaho. That is a master's degree level class. So you will sign up for this class both at BYU-Idaho and at the University of Idaho. And we have a wonderful reciprocation agreement so that you will not pay any additional tuition to take this class from the University of Idaho. And you'll get master's level credit for it. So our goal is to offer, especially our senior level students, more opportunity to take a wider set of classes. So this is an example of that. So you'll take Dr. Hiromoto's class, you'll get credit here for a 490 class, and then you'll get credit at the University of Idaho for one of their master's classes. So when you graduate, you could always already start with a set of master's degree classes from their program.
So this is going to count as an elective.
That's right. It's the 490 class, CS 490R, exactly. And you can take 2 of those right now during your career here at BYU-Idaho.
And you're saying that this master's level credit is only transferable to University of Idaho, not to other universities?
No, it is a master's level class from the University of Idaho.
Okay,
So you'll get a transcript from the University of Idaho that says you've taken this class.
I see.
Now you can either continue on at the University of Idaho, either face-to-face or through their online program, or you could go to a different university and say, hey, I want to transfer this class in. And normally 6 credits or so will transfer in to another program if that's what you want to do.
Okay.
So we're just barely starting this. We're trying to find a class that people are interested in. So this is an opportunity for that class. It's going to be offered in the fall. It'll start in September. You'll actually attend class here, and we'll video link to Bob down at Bob comes from us from Idaho Falls. And although we may take a van down occasionally, so there may be times where we want to go down and actually try some things or do some things in real time, and then we'll just hop in the van and go down. So not for everybody, but it's kind of an interesting class. We're hoping a few students will want the class and sign up so we can kind of try this and see how it goes. But our plan in the future is every University of Idaho semester we would offer one of these classes. So that'd be fall and winter, you'd have the opportunity to take one of these classes. So again, you might be able to leave here with 6 credits of a master's degree before you graduate from BYU-Idaho. Plus, this is a pretty powerful resume thing. So again, this is the kind of class, if you were on your resume, they'd say, wow, that's not just a standard class, right? It's a pretty significant master's level course. I did this at the University of Idaho when I was going there. I took a bunch of master's levels classes before I graduated, and that gave me a jump start on my master's degree, which was great.
Okay.
All right.
Just turn the time over to you, Brother Grimmett.
Okay. All right. Good. How many of you are seniors? 2 of you? How many of you are juniors? Sophomores? Freshmen? Good. I'm going to talk more to the sophomore and freshmen now than I am the juniors and seniors. So I'm assuming that you guys actually like to build fun stuff. I'll assume that. Now, if you don't, then you can kind of not worry about it. But so I like to build fun stuff too. So I just want to go over some of the embedded processors I play with, just so you can think about them, and perhaps you want to do a little project or start playing with some things. It might be kind of interesting. The first one I'm going to show you is the Arduino UNO. That's this little processor. It actually plugs into your PC through a USB cable, standard USB cable that goes right into your laptop or PC. Then you download some free software from the Arduino Foundation, and it actually allows you to program this little guy. He is programmed in the C programming language. Has everybody had CS124? Or are you in CS124 now? Okay, so if you've been in CS124, you can program him. All right. Now, the UNO is kind of a fun little guy because he has these pins on the top, and we can plug all kinds of different things into our Arduino to make it do different things. So the most basic of things we can do are things like little LEDs, all the way up to this is a little LED screen that sits on top of our Arduino that we can program if we need an interface. So anybody got any interesting ideas of what you might do with that? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, it's yours.
What, mine?
No, his.
Okay.
Raise his hand first. Anyone else? Now, the Arduino comes in different form factors. The ones I just gave you, they cost me about $8 on eBay. This is another form factor. It's almost the same system, but just a smaller form factor. Operates exactly the same, programs the same way. We normally plug this into a breadboard and then plug our circuits into that. These cost me about $3. So anybody Okay. There you go. All right. This is a bigger version of the Arduino. So this has more memory, and it runs faster, and it has more pins to interface. These cost about $20 out in the world, and again, just a little bit more powerful. And but they program the exact same way. So let me put that back to him. All right. Now, sometimes we need a different form factor. And so this is the smallest Arduino I have. It's just one of these plates of 3. And it's the same performance as the Uno, but just in a smaller form factor. I'm not going to give you that one away. It's a little bit too pricey for me.
How many pins are on that?
On the top, I think it's 32 on the top.
What is that?
This is called Tiny Circuits Arduino, I think. It also comes with a display. You can actually build a little wristwatch with it, which is kind of interesting and cool. There are other versions. I find I watch. Does everybody know where Kickstarter is?
Yes.
Everybody used Kickstarter? So a lot of times I just watch Kickstarter, and sometimes they have kind of cool projects. This is called the YPi, and it's a little wireless dedicated processor that runs Python. And I don't remember how much that cost me. I'm not going to give that one away because I haven't played with it yet. But it's kind of fun. So again, what you can do, this little Arduino is the same Arduino I just gave somebody over there, a little one. And so here I hook up the Arduino to a sonar sensor. The sonar sensor is about $2. And then I went out and bought this little guy for, I think, $15. And then I hacked into its motors. So they come up now and now controlled by the Arduino. And so I sense distances, and if I'm going to run it into a wall, I turn it 90 degrees and walk the other way. So that kind of, again, you can buy kind of cool little toys and hack into them. So those, the Arduinos and kind of their clones, are all fairly powerful but very simple systems. That means they have a single thread of operation. There's no operating system. You program it and it just runs it. Right? And again, there's different versions. This is a little one called the Omega. It's kind of a nice little version, really kind of powerful. I just got this one in. This one is the same thing, but it actually has a cellular modem in it. So if you've got a remote project where you don't want it, you can't be around it, you can put one of these in your system, and it'll call through the cellular system and tell you where it is, and, you know, ET phone home, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the latest and newest one.
How much is that one for the ground?
No, I don't remember how much I paid for that. Probably 50. Probably.
And
Now you need a data plan
okay.
with a carrier to interact with it, because they don't give that stuff away for free. But it comes with some original data plans and cloud stuff included in.
How big is it?
I don't know yet. I haven't opened it. It looks like it's about as big as that one little one I just gave out.
Oh.
So now on the other, this is another one. This is called the Arduino. It also has an RF link. This is Bluetooth. It's about that size, and it kind of is more powerful. I'll show you this before 30. Now, let's go from that to a little bit more powerful processors, and these are processors that actually run the Linux operating system. So this is a Raspberry Pi B. It's got 512K memory, and it's got 4 USB slots and a LAN slot, and an HDMI cable, and some GPIO pins. This is about a generation old. There's a newer version of this called the Raspberry Pi 2 that's faster. So this one's kind of useful. Anybody need that? All right. The new version of that is Raspberry Pi 2. It's a quad core, and it's pretty fast. And it's a $40 deal. Sometimes they're knockoff clones. This is called the Banana Pi.
Yeah.
Anybody want a Banana Pi?
Yeah. Everybody.
Everybody? All right, turn Banana Pi. This is the latest from the Raspberry Pi people.
Oh, that's the 0?
So this is the Raspberry Pi Zero. The kind of cool thing about the Raspberry Pi Zero is it's $5. The uncool thing about it, it doesn't have a lot of USB slots, and so you have to add some things to make it really very useful. But for $5, it's pretty cool. I'm not going to give this one away, only because it's hard for me to get them right now. Later when it's easier out.
Yeah.
Is there one USB slot on it?
There is one USB slot.
Can I see?
Yeah. There's one USB slot on there. This is kind of an interesting one. This comes to us from Intel. So they saw all this happening and wanted to kind of get in the game. So they started by producing this called Galileo. And it's both, it can be programmed like an Arduino, but it can also be programmed as a Linux machine because it's running Linux. So anybody want this one? All right. Okay, so again, the nice thing about all of these is they kind of have a community of support. This is a little, this is a display for the Raspberry Pi. I think it's $60 on their site. It hooks up over HDMI and a power cord, and it kind of works pretty well. And for a display for $60, this size is kind of neat. Yeah,
Your laptop died.
Let's see if the robot's got the battery.
Where did you go to get
Which ones?
most of these?
The different parts?
Like
Amazon, mostly. Yeah, let's see if he's got battery left. He just went out to the grade school, so we'll see if he's got battery left. So this one has a Raspberry Pi and then has an Arduino on the back to talk to the robot. So hopefully he'll say hello in here just a second. Give him a minute.
Hello.
And now we can talk to him, so we can say, hello.
Hello.
High five.
High five.
And say, roar. Roar.
Roaring.
So again, here we just took a standard toy robot, and then I hack in through the Arduino, and then the Raspberry Pi does the voice recognition. And at some point we could add a webcam, and we could do facial recognition, we could do edge detection, those kinds of things, so that they could, figure out what the environment looks like.
What do you use for voice recognition on that software?
Pocket Sphinx. It's a program out of Carnegie Mellon. So it's free, which is kind of cool.
how do you hack into the toys?
I
You
just
connect to them with your Arduino.
I just unscrew them. I unscrew them and then I strip the wires and I put my control in it. And so it's a standard way that people have done that. So we've also done some things with the quadcopters, and so that's what we're building for Dr. Hiromoto is a quadcopter that not only can control itself. Autonomous quadcopters are something we've been building for a little while, but we'll put a Raspberry Pi in the loop so that we can communicate to the quadcopter and have it do very specific things based on where we want it to go and what we want it to do. And then once you have that, we can then add the communication parts of that. All right. So if you're interested in doing this, sometimes it can be a little daunting. So here I'm going to give the shameless plug. I've written a series of books on these kinds of projects. So this is my book on the Raspberry Pi.
I'll take it.
I'm going to give this one away. I'm going to keep one copy around like this. But this comes, every chapter is a different project. It talks a lot about the same kind of projects we've got. The way I like to buy them is I go to the publisher called PactPub, and I search for my name, and then the online or the e-version is normally way less expensive than the printed version. So they're anywhere from $20 to $30. It seems reasonable. I did it that way just because it was a way to capture all of the information. So for example, these are the first 2 chapters of the Arduino. Who got the Arduino? All right, so you could take that. But that's how I like to do it. I like to just print them out and have them bound over at the copy center, because then I can, when I use the paper pages, I can open it up and see them a lot better. So it just makes more sense. So the cool thing about it right now is there's lots of very, very inexpensive opportunities to get involved in these kind of projects. 10 years ago, these might have cost $5,000 each. Now they're $5. And so the opportunity to do that, even as students, has gone up pretty substantially. Now, if you like to do these kinds of projects and you want to take classes, you would start with 260, which is the first embedded systems class. And in that class, you'll learn how to program this little product called MSP430. It's a very basic little microprocessor. I think these cost $5. You program this and learn how to do the detail. And I think Brother Carl even has you do a little video game with a screen and a keyboard. And then you can move on to 361, where you select a project, and I had to do a project, and then on to 461. One of the projects we're doing now in 461 is a hand that will play rock, paper, scissors. So we want to do that for the Museum of Idaho. So someone will walk up to the exhibit. It'll sense that they're there. It'll play rock, paper, scissors. It senses rock, paper, scissors using a leap, which is a gesture recognition box. And then the robot will also be moving, playing the rock, paper, scissors. So our hope is that students, middle school, early high school students will look at that and say, hey, this is kind of cool. I could actually do something like that. Maybe I should study engineering or computer science or something like that. So that's our goal, is to enable that.
What major requirements do those classes fulfill? EE or CS or?
260 can apply to either one. 361 can apply to either one, and I can sub 461, and I have in the past for people. So if you want to use those as a part of your CS or software engineering and sub those for the different electives, I can do that. I've done that before. All right. So there's no real reason not to be having some fun with some of this stuff. Play around. We've got, in my office, I've got robots that go underwater, robots that fly, robots that crawl. And have you seen the newest, or the latest Atlas video? Shall we watch it? It's pretty cool. I don't know, can we get it up on the screen?
Yeah.
I just need you to. Let's do this.
Pick on. Audio on. Oh, Boston Dynamics. Hold on. Oh. This is.
You'll do the sound. Okay, that sound.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry, people online.
Boston Dynamics, they're probably the forefront of a bipedal robot right now. So this is their bipedal robot. Boston Dynamics, by the way, is owned by Google. So 3 years ago, Google bought the 7 largest robotics companies in the United States. So Google owns these guys. And this is a really hard problem. To walk through snow is a real challenge. And that they have solved that is very, very impressive.
It's clumsy, but it's really cool.
It's kind of terrifying.
Wait a minute. Wait till you see. Oh.
I want to do it. I want to dance.
That's the most important thing.
Now this is the scary part, right?
I have some. Don't remember that. I know who you are.
It moves. Gyroscopes.
So weird.
Because we did in a program like attack.
Oh!
Ready for round two?
Is that an Xbox Kinect on its head? That uses
All right,
LiDAR.
it's out of here.
All right.
See you next time.
So you think about that in its size. Think about that in its size. And remember the first computers and how big they were and how big they are now. So if you've seen iRobot, probably 15 to 20 years, that will be a part of what we have. And there are people who suggest that half of the jobs 20 years from now will be done by robots.
the R2D2?
I don't have the battery with me. I can, you can see him in my office. If you want to come to my office, I'll power him up. He makes R2D2 sounds and goes forward and back. Right now, he makes R2D2 sounds and goes forward and backwards. And if I hook up over a remote, I can see what he sees through his camera.
So how long does it take you to build a project like that?
Just all depends how much time I have.
Yeah, well.
You know, the nice thing is I've got a build on the Raspberry Pi that I like to use almost on all my projects that comes with a wireless LAN already configured. It comes with a whole bunch of stuff already on it. So all I have to do is put just a little bit of extra code together. So it's the mechanical part that kind of takes me more time right now. The hope is, and just like with Dr. Hiromoto, is one of the nice things to do is begin to start having them do something. So for example, having R2D2 be able to plan a path from here out the door. That would be cool. So an understanding vision. The nice thing about it is there's lots of open source software out there. So there's OpenCV has libraries for. So one of the projects is to build your own air hockey plane robot. And OpenCV already has a library that can do the color detection so you can know where the puck is, for example. And so a lot of this open software provides us with opportunity. That's a nice thing about the Boston Dynamics folks. Once they've solved the problem, we can get it all for free. It's great.
Yeah, I'll give a question. Do you need to program all of it in C?
No, I do mostly Python. Yeah, all my code's Python. I do a little bit of C with the speech recognition because I couldn't get the Python speech recognition to work, but just a little bit. In fact, it's one if else if else if. That's the extent of my C programming right now. Well,
I was going to ask, so I know some people are already seeing some of the classes, using classes. I'm doing a senior project so is there a way that I could talk to?
No, I do not allow people to talk to me. It's really bothering me, and I don't. No, absolutely. So I've had several senior projects come in and chat. So it depends, whatever you'd like to do. So the rock paper scissors is a senior project for the doubles, for example.
Do you know if you have to have the eyes sensor on our Lego robot?
You don't need the eye sensor. The reason why is you're supposed to be controlling it from your phone.
Bluetooth goes straight to the
Yeah, you're the eyes. That's like $40 to $30 on the internet, and so we're trying to not have to deal with that.
And if it turns out we need more parts for our robot, doesn't work right, can we still order more?
We can negotiate.
Okay.
I mean, each society has a certain budget, and so we let you buy up to that amount, and then we have to negotiate after that. So, I'd like to have you, give you lots more money, but and sometimes we can go get companies to help us pay for things too. So, all right, thank you. Yeah.
How do I get the parts for this?
Where do you get the cords for it? Come to my office. Probably.
Where's your office?
It's 216E.
So that.
216E. So by the way, if you come to my office, anything in my office is fair game for you to use on a project, but you have to give it back to me when you're done. So if you want to build something that you want to take with you, then you got to buy it. That's my rule. So if you want to play with my stuff, you can, but I got to have it back when you're done.
All right, we have gone overtime. Sorry for that. People online, we've had horrible technical difficulties. That's attributed to the wireless internet and whatever laptops that decide to use an access point that's below us or above us or whatever. It's horrible. Is it possible we can get ourselves MAC address whitelisted for the presenters?
I don't know.
All right, that'd be really nice.
You can
We can get ourselves on the LAN network.
Yep. I'm sure we could.
All right, so that's it. Thank you for coming. definitely like to have quality presentations like this, and it's been a lot of fun. So come again next time if you want to get feedback. Best place to do that is on Slack. If you don't know how to do that, ask any one of us ACM members on how to get onto Slack, and we can totally talk to you. All right? Off hours. All right, thank you.